following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
To the adventure and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo, Motivational Monday, man. And I got to tell you, the road to success is constantly under construction. And that is so true on this show, because we're actually every day this past couple weeks, we're like testing better ways, because, you know, the Pipeman moves around a lot. And sometimes the internet can be crap. And that's terrible, because, you know, if I'm in the studio, the internet's perfect. But sometimes when I do it from outside the studio, not so much. So we're doing testing every day, different ways, because the road to success of the Adventures of Pipeman is constantly under construction. And that's why we need the pipe nuts. That's your cue, Juan.
I know. I just wanted to make you sweat a little bit.
I know, right? If it weren't for Rebel, we could be the Men in Black.
They
Rebel,
do have females.
Yeah, but that's a new one. We're talking old school.
Yeah, so you want to be a Man in Black, Rebel? Rebel's the only one that isn't black. Is that true? Are you wearing black? Are you wearing black? Okay, I want to make sure that was true, because you're saying no. Well, I'm saying you're the only one here in black.
I said there's not only men in Men in Black. And Juan said that there was
but then they're women in black. They're not men in black.
Exactly. But it's still the Men in Black movie, so it's all good.
I mean,
it's women. Okay, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong.
Person in black.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's women in black, but the W all in the beginning is silent.
Well, here's what I think. That's a good one. But here's what I think. Okay. So basically, it's 2025, and they're going to do a reboot of that movie, and they're going to call it People in Black. Because you don't know, it could be 58 different genders, you know. I've actually had to fill out an application where there were literally like 58 choices for gender.
So this is going to be 58 shades of People in Black.
So here's the thing. Okay. So I'm talking about the testing and stuff. So we're just testing what's going to be best. So far, I'm liking this. But now I just gave myself a kinahura. And for those of you that don't understand Jewish, that means I jinxed myself. That's why a lot of Jews are superstitious, and a lot of them, like, they'll start to say something, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to say that because it'll give it a kinahura, you know, and it is true. Every time I say stuff, I don't know. The psychic energy in this one has been strong lately. I've been freaking a lot of people out. But, you know, the road to success is constantly under construction. So I want to ask my pipe nuts here.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's always, well, I'm going to answer that after you guys answer the question, but I do have an answer for it. Okay. So ask me again. Remember, Rebel, ask me again after I'll ask you second. So I'll ask Juan first, you're second. And then when you're done answering, you're like, hey, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or you could do it your way and say, hey, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do I do that one pretty good?
Jesus.
Juan, do I do it
No.
pretty good?
It's close enough. I don't think you can reach that level of
No.
highness.
I know, exactly. I just don't think I can reach that level of creepiness, okay? So
I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
here's the question, okay? I have a poster for this too that has all these different things on it. It's really cool. I got to find it. But it probably got ruined, and that's probably why I don't know where it is, or else it would be up on the wall. But we'll ask you one first.
Okay.
Okay, so what does that mean to you? If I say to you, the road to success is constantly under construction, what does that mean to you? And Rebel, don't cheat and take notes, and give your own answer, okay?
So from my perspective,
I already have an answer.
success is not the end goal. Success is a milestone. Because once you accomplish what you were set to accomplish, there should be a new set of accomplishments that you set out to accomplish.
Did you happen to read my book, Who Said Life Doesn't Come with an Owner's Manual? Because that's in there, actually.
No, but it's close enough to me where I'm just channeling it.
I think so. But no, it is. You are like spot on with what you just said, because listen, that's why I do this thing. It's in my book. It's called The Goal Getter. I've read all the goal setting books. One of the number one books of all time by Napoleon Hill is Think and Grow Rich. Love, love, love that book. Unfortunately, most people do not follow the instructions in that book, because that book has a lot of instructions, because success is a lot of work. Reaching your goals is a lot of work. But people, they don't want that. That's why we live in this society of big pharma where, like, I don't want to do the work to get healthy. Let me just take some pills and it'll be all better, and same with that. So basically, yes, there's no time. Like, if somebody asks you, is there ever a time that you've reached all your goals and you have no more goals? If you say yes to that, there's something wrong, because that's why you're right. That's why the road to success is constantly under construction, because you're constantly evolving. You're constantly trying to, be better. You're constantly trying to renew yourself. You're constantly trying to add on to the foundation. And so basically, yeah, I mean, the goal getter, what it is, so in Think and Grow Rich, you have all these things you have to do, and I've done them all. And it's a lot of work. Like, you need a full-time job to do your goals if you really follow Think and Grow Rich. But if you follow the goal getter, all you have to do is take out a piece of paper, write down goal getter at the top and number 1 through 10, and put the 10 things that you want most out of life. Now, those 10 things can be short-term, medium-term, long-term. They can be small, they can be big, they can be about your personality, they could be about money, they could be about your job, a career, they could be about something you need to get or want to get, or it could be anything you want it to be. Okay. So, like, I remember when I first started doing this, I was like, yeah, I would like to have kids. And I wasn't specific enough. You got to be specific with your goals, okay? Because then, like, I think a year later, I had 3 of them. So you got to be very specific of what you want when you ask for things. But that being said, yeah, absolutely. Listen, and what I tell people to do is you make that list, and every time you reach something on that list, you take it off and replace it with something else. It's not like you've achieved 10 things and you're done. And that's true of business. And that's why right now, here on Motivational Monday, I'm in Chicago, because I'm at Podcast Movement, because I don't want to sit still. We at the network have been doing podcasting before it's even a word. But every year, the road to success in podcasting is constantly under construction. And that's why I'm here, to learn new things, to meet new vendors, to get demos of our things, to see how we can get bigger and better and more professional, because the road to success is constantly under construction. Okay, Swamp Nut, your turn. What does it mean to you?
You pretty much answered it already. Well, I always say that we're a work in progress. So you should all be making progress to goals, not just one goal, a set of goals. And you constantly have to make yourself better.
Absolutely. And like I said, in the goals, it could be something like, be a better human being. That's one that most everybody should be on their goal list right now. It could be stuff like that, like things about your personality, or I want to start playing, hockey. Actually, it's funny because I just went to Skate Zone to go scope out getting some new equipment so I could play hockey. But that's because I'm like, I want to play hockey again, because it's been a few years. It's been actually, I think, since before COVID, or maybe even before the heart attacks. I don't know. I think it's before the heart attacks. Or, it's like, it could be something like small. It could be something extremely small, like, I just want to relax for the next hour and do nothing. That is a goal, by the way. Because especially nowadays, 2025, because we have all this technology, so we never have the switch shut off. It's never shut off. So we're going, that we need to schedule time in our life for relaxing, for doing nothing. People say stuff like about the TV as an example. That's something that I do. People say, like, I don't watch TV because blah, 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 blah. Well, I say, what if you took an hour out of your day to just watch some senseless crap on the TV? And that's what they're saying. It's like senseless stuff, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Why does it always have to make sense? Why can't you just chill?
Yeah, sometimes we just need a break from reality.
No doubt. 100%. There are times too, like here, I'll get on my paddle board and I'll paddle like into the horizon, and I'll just lay on the board in the middle of the ocean, like I'm way out there, because I feel like I'm not anywhere on Earth. I'm just there, escaping the world. What don't you know, Rebel?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say pointless. I mean, after working all day and looking at a computer all day long, many computers all day long, I need downtime. So when I leave here, I go wherever I'm going for the evening. And by the time it's downtime for me, it's close to 12 o'clock. So lately I've been watching Barney Miller. And, some people will say, it's really, really entertaining.
Abe Vigoda. I miss him.
Fish. Absolutely. I like Fish. It actually just reset itself. I had started in like the later seasons, season 8, and season 8 only has episodes to 22, back when they used to have long episodes in a season. Well, they played 21 and then went on to Bewitch. I'm like, oh, heck no. I'm not going to do this. We're not going to do this. I had to go find, because that's how they end the show. I had to go find episode 22. But then they reset it.
I got something for Juan. This is great. You just gave me something for Juan. Juan, can you tell us, it's a 2-part question, but if you fail the first question, there's no sense in the second part. Can you tell us what bewitched means?
Are we talking about like the movie Bewitched, or?
No, we are talking about the TV program though. Okay, so I'll let you answer the second question because you're kind of on the right path. How many Darrens were there in Bewitched?
Oh,
13.
oh,
See, no, that's the what is that show on Netflix? 13.
666.
No, the one with 13. 13 Reasons Why. It's not 13 Reasons Why. Look, he has a blank look on his face. He doesn't even know that show. And that's
I don't
that's
know.
from
I do
his-
know 13 Reasons Why.
I
Okay,
don't.
see. You don't? Yeah, because it's not your generation.
I could have given them way more reasons than that, but
No doubt. I think I think the show itself is giving people out their reasons that are watching it. This is the problem with TV nowadays. Like lately, I've been watching these serial killer things, and man, I'm getting some great ideas. And I know where they failed. So the road to success is constantly under construction. So by me researching this, I know where they failed, and I can construct a success.
Amen. High, are you?
I mean,
seriously.
Speaking of goal setting, okay. Well, before we get to that, Rebel, you were supposed to ask me a question.
So is this a good thing?
Well, of course it's a good thing. Because you know what else, too? If it wasn't constantly under construction, it'd be boring. Imagine how boring life would be if you had nothing to go for.
I mean, once
But
you
why-
accomplish everything you set out to accomplish, what happens after that?
That's goes back to what you were saying before. Then you have
Let's
to
just say
set
you
new
accomplish
goals.
everything by 25. What happens for the next 50 years, 60 years?
You gotta keep. That's why the road to success is constantly under construction. You gotta keep on. There's more. It doesn't end. I got every goal on my dream list that I did at 23 by 24, except for one thing. And I still got 10 million goals. I made a goal sheet recently, like updated it. I always have one. Another thing is too is you have to have it with you at all times, like everywhere you go. Like put it on the mirror in your bathroom, put it on the refrigerator, put it in the visor of your car, put it in your pocket. That's easy. You got a phone, so you can do it with the phone nowadays. I used to literally carry a piece of paper in my pocket all the time with it. It has to constantly be in your vision.
I used to carry rocks in my pocket.
Well, that sounds like something that bothered her.
All right. So on that note of
Is that like
always going for
stuffing your pants with socks? Is that the same thing?
No, this was
No.
when I was little. I used to like to.
Yeah, so you stuff
Whenever
your
there
pants
wasn't
with
any-
2 rocks and a pair of tube socks.
Oh my.
What, you've never done that, Rebel?
No, why would I?
Well, I don't know.
To see what it would look like if you had one.
No. I never had an interest in knowing what that would be like.
Have you ever done anything like so you would know what you would look like if you had a JJ?
Seriously. Wow. Anyway, so back to your list of things to do. How can anyone say they're bored when there's a to-do list like a mile long? Anyone ever got through the to-do list like they get through their goals?
Well, to-do lists are goals.
Well, then that's a never-ending story right there.
Well, yeah, to-do lists are goals. Anything is a goal that you're looking to accomplish something.
I think what happens is that people set a very low bar for themselves because they
Totally.
want to get complacent. And then once they reach those goals, they just stop trying after that.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like a
100%.
miserable life. I would rather have a million things that I don't have enough time to accomplish than not having anything at all.
No doubt. 100%. And That's why in the investment business, I used to have up, and every place did, a big dry erase board. And that was like the leaders board. You'd put people up there and people would see their name and how much they did and how close and there were goals. And there were goals to get bonuses and stuff like that. And the key to goal setting is not setting something that's within your reach, but also not saying it so far out of your reach that you give up. It's supposed to be just out of your reach, so you have to stretch to reach it.
But here's
Because
the
otherwise,
problem.
yeah, you will be complacent.
Most people are too busy doing things for other people that they don't put their own goals first.
But that might be
it's
their
hard,
goal.
What, to help other people get where they're
Yeah,
going and
that
not
was
stay back?
that's one of my goals in life, to help people. To
Right.
do
But if you're too busy doing other things instead of focusing, you need to narrow down, and then you'll come up with things like, oh, well, I need to do this so I can make money to do this. Well, the money can come in, but it's going to go to something else because you're going to forget that you're actually on this track. That's part of the problem. People are too busy doing other things, and then other people will jump in and say, oh, just forget about everything else and just jump forward. But you're carrying things that are dragging you down. I mean, you might be wearing floaties, but you got the rocks tied to your feet, then they're way too hard to stay afloat.
You
Even
know
with
what's the
floaties.
biggest rock there is? That right
Responsibilities.
there. No, this right there. The stinking thinking.
The
Oh,
noggin.
yeah.
The stinking thinking
Yes.
is what, so I'm
It's
listening to
overthink.
you. I'm listening to you. And although you have a point, to me, it sounds like, that's looking at it in the negative sense, opposed to the positive sense. That's why when you said helping people, I didn't think instantly. I didn't think of that as a negative thing. I thought of that as, hey, yeah, that's part
So
of also being a better human being.
I don't think it's negative thinking. I think it's more of perspective and overanalyzing. For example, for
I think
her,
it's
it's
overthinking
I
most
need
of
to
the time.
have something bigger to make a bigger impact. For us, it would be more like, even if it's a small impact, it's still an impact. If you wait for things to be perfect, they're never going to be perfect. So you're never going to get started.
And you do have to break it down. You're right. And you do have to break it down to minimal things to achieve goals. Like, that's the problem. People overwhelm themselves, and I hate that word more than almost any on earth, because being overwhelmed is a word that makes you overwhelmed, and when you say it to yourself, when you say I'm overwhelmed, but overwhelmed just means that you're not, like, you know, doing steps. You want to go from A to Z, but you don't want to do B or the rest of them. Like, I will break down my tasks into the smallest increments, and I will focus. And then every time you get a small task done, it makes you feel good. And it makes you want to do more. And it's a goal. It's kind of like, okay, so this is an interesting thing. I read all kinds of books that have to do with anything business, sales, self-help, anything having to do that would better my life. I'm not really a fiction book reader because I don't read for pleasure. I read for knowledge. But if I were to read fictional books, when I read them, my favorite author is James Patterson. And the reason he's my favorite author for fiction is because almost every chapter of all of his books are 2 pages long. So what happens is, since to me reading is more like work than pleasure, if I'm reading a fictional book that, let's say, it's 500 pages and each chapter is like 30 pages, to me, I'm usually going to be like, at the end of that, reading that one chapter, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And
Yeah, because you don't want to stop halfway through the chapter. You want to finish the chapter before you close the book.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when they're long chapters, to me, it's like, yeah, I don't want to start another chapter. But what happens to me with James Patterson books is I finish the whole book in one sitting because it's like so easy because, okay, I only have to read 2 chapters and that chapter's done. And next thing you know, I've just finished like 30 chapters in no time. And it's the mindset. It's the mindset of that, okay, I only have to, and every time I would end a chapter, like I'm like, oh, well, it's only 2 more pages. I'll just do another chapter. Whereas if it were 30 pages, I'm like, yeah, not, I'm going to go do something else.
So I see this in like my own life, right? Where, like someone else will enter the house is a mess, and they'll say like, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do. But I have that OCD thing that I'm like, I'm doing something, and then as I'm doing that, I notice something else that needs attention, so I go and do that, and then I jump to the next. Next thing you know, like an hour later, the whole house is completely clean.
Yep.
And it doesn't even feel like I did anything because it's just like focusing from one piece to the next.
So you guys know me as over the past several years, moving in and out of my place twice a year, moving in and then moving out. Like, and who does that? And who can do that? And if you see how I do it, like I'm the one-man moving crew. I seriously am. I do it myself, but I compartmentalize everything. Yeah. So I'll go into the bedroom and I'll start with the closet. Once the closet's done, I'll do another part of the bedroom. Once that's done, I'll do the kitchen. Once that's, like I'll take each section at a time, and it's like goal setting. Because every time I get a section done, it's like, wow, that felt good. Even with packing, okay? So I have to pack a lot for going on the Pipeman radio tour. And so when I was packing for this part of the Pipeman radio tour, like literally 2 weeks ahead of time, I always like start packing like at least 2 weeks beforehand. And even with the moving out of the condo, like I'll pack everything up and I'll keep narrowing it down to necessities. So it's not overwhelming that by time it's time for me to actually move out, I pick up my bag and walk out and I'm done and I'm not stressed. I don't think anything. Same thing with traveling. Okay. I'm never stressed with traveling because why are people stressed? They wait till the last minute to pack. That makes them forget stuff. They're overwhelmed because they got to do it all and they got to be on the flight in the morning. Me, I start a couple weeks ahead of time, and I start packing stuff as I'm going along. And then, the last day before I'm leaving, the only thing I have to pack is my toiletries, basically, because that's the only thing left. And then I never forget anything because here's what happens during that 2 weeks. I'll go, oh, crap, I forgot about this. And then I'll pack it. But if I were packing at the last minute, I wouldn't have that opportunity. That would happen once I got where I was going, So it's about small goals. Don't make them all big goals. The small goals lead to the big goal. That's the road to success is constantly under construction because it's like you have to constantly go through different parts to get to the end result. Okay. And so, yeah. I mean, you'll like this one. So also in the same, I had a cleaning lady come here recently and she asked me, she's like, why did you have me come? Like, is this like a way you pick up women or something? Because it doesn't look like your place needs to be cleaned. I also had, so when I move out of places, like before when I had the kids, they would always say, when we would move and I'd move out there and we were renting a place, they would be like, Dad, why are you making sure it's so clean? We're not going to be living here. And my answer to that is because that's the right thing to do. That's what I would want done. Leave it I always leave it in better shape than I moved in. I always leave it in better shape than I moved in. So thing one, she had this best friend who was a lesbian, and she was also a landlord tenant attorney. And the reason we had to move one time is the landlord was getting foreclosed on. And so we had to move out. But I still did everything the way I would do it. And then she tried to keep my security, and she made up all this stuff like the place was trashed, it was a mess, blah, blah, blah. And I had this lesbian landlord.
Does that have
attorney.
anything to do with her?
It
Is
does,
her sexual status? Okay.
It does. It does.
Just curious.
Lesbian landlord tenant attorney was at the house before I moved out. And then so I called her in this. And I'm like, can you believe this one? She goes to me, okay, you ready? This is where it does pertain, Rebel. So pay attention. Okay. She goes, are you kidding me? You could eat off your floor. You give gay guys a run for their money.
Oh, Jesus.
And she goes, I would never say that about a man because I've never seen a straight man that's like that. So yes, it did pertain, Rebel. Okay. So, but here's the thing. Perfect example. I have a daughter that she used to work at the station. And then when she lived with me and now always has dishes overflowing in the sink where you can't even, if you needed to wash a dish, you couldn't because there's no place to get under the faucet even. Okay.
I know which daughter that is.
And my dad, okay, so my grandfather was my grandparents owned a kosher bakery, and he was known as one of the best bakers in the world and one of the best cake deck. And when I was a kid, my dad used to teach me what his dad taught him, which was you clean as you go. Okay. And so as an example, Passover is coming up soon. I would make seders at my house, and usually, like Thanksgiving, people dread doing that because they dread to clean up afterwards. And whether it was that or Thanksgiving, by the time we're seeing able to eat the whole clean. At the end of the meal, the only thing you cleaned was what they just dump everything in the sink. And then into like I'm going, you can walk into my place. The minute I'm done using it, I clean it and put it away. And then it's not hard. It's not overwhelming ever. It's like, and you never have to I had a problem with the garbage disposal. I had a plumber coming here. Okay. Now, most people are like, oh shit, I'm going to have to clean up. I didn't. It was already clean. It was in and out in 2 seconds, fixed, done. That's why the road to success is constantly under construction, because you want to do these things in compartmentalize in steps. Take steps. You don't have to jump across the river. Take steps across the rocks.
Yeah, so the dishes thing does resonate with me because I am that type of guy. And it's probably just like an OCD thing where one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing dirty dishes in the sink. To me, that's like very unsanitary. And like I have literally never seen a woman who cleans the dishes more than I do.
No. And thing one was foolish because she trained me wrong. Because when we first got married, I was doing my own dishes, and she yelled at me. She's like, "You're doing them wrong. Here, give it to me. Let me do it. Don't ever do the dishes again." You don't have to ask me twice. I never did the dishes ever again.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. What did she mean by wrong? Were they not clean afterwards?
Well, everybody has their way. Okay,
I know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, my bro's wife, she's like that, and every time I would stay there, she's like, "Dean, just leave it on the counter. Just leave it on the counter." And I'm being helpful, but she didn't want me. She makes that as not helpful because you're putting them in the dishwasher, and you're just gonna screw it up. Let me do it.
As if it doesn't get washed if it's not properly done in the dishwasher.
Well,
Right?
that's where,
Yeah.
that's
And
where
I
you're
have
wrong
been through
to
that.
do that.
I've been through that before, and I say like, does it matter how it gets done as long as it gets done?
Right, exactly. Listen, I would never say that to somebody because you know what that means? It means I got to do more work. Do the dishes any freaking way you want. As long as you're
Yep.
doing them, I don't care. As long as I can eat off a clean plate, that's all that matters to me. And it's not sitting in the sink. That's what would bother me if it was sitting in the sink. Like literally, okay, the last time this daughter lived with me, she wasn't living with me. I moved out of my ocean condo to get like a 5-bedroom house for her to move in and my grandson to move in. And we weren't there but a month. Okay. It's one thing when your kids are teenagers, like you're in a mindset that's to be expected. Like, you know, when they're teenagers, yeah, they're going to be leaving crap in the sink and this and that. After about a month, I had a talk where I'm like, I signed a year lease, and I'm just here to tell you I'm not renewing it when the year comes up. So you have 11 months to find the place. And the reason is because the sink was overflowing and I couldn't even clean a dish. And I'm like, I'm not going to live like that. And my viewpoint is, you're an adult and a mother. Now I don't have to put up with it. Like, you should know better. I don't have to tell you, you know? And I mean, it was probably a good thing that happened for her because otherwise she'd be like a lot of these other millennials and would have been living with me till she was 52. So
is that the house around the corner from the golf course?
I had a golf course in the backyard.
Yeah, that. Okay, is that one?
I believe, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
They did have a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, the road to success is constantly under construction. And yes, to answer your question, Rebel, it is a good thing. It's a very good thing. It's a bad thing when it's not under construction. We always want to better ourselves. We always want to do other things. We always want to have other experiences. We always want to have other adventures. That's what life's about. And that's what the Adventures of Pipeman is about. And now I got to go to some session here at Podcast Movement. And I'm wearing my, I'm not wearing it yet. I'm wearing that tomorrow. I have one that I'm wearing tomorrow that's says podcast celebrity. Now I'm wearing cast away all your problems, or all your troubles. Life is good. So if
Life is good.
It is good if you take the road that is constantly under construction. All right. Tune in again to the Adventures of Pipeman, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, here on W4CY Radio, W4CY.com. Roll it, Juan.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.